The storm outside the glass mansion roared like an echo of the remorse inside Alina Vance's chest. As the city lights bled into the dark horizon, she stared at the frozen image on her laptop screen. Her 8-year-old son sitting alone at the dining table, untouched food in front of him, eyes dim and lost. The billionaire who owned half the skyline felt powerless in the one place that truly mattered, her home. And that was the moment she made a decision that would change everything. She secretly installed a camera, not for security, but to watch the man she had quietly begun to suspect was doing far more for her son than she ever had. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and stories that heal the heart, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Soul Tale right now. It means the world. Alina wasn't cold or heartless, just exhausted, burdened, and shaped by years of clawing her way to the top of the corporate world. Since her divorce, she had drowned herself in work, convinced that building an empire would somehow secure her son Oliver's future. She hired people, nannies, housekeepers, drivers, but none stayed long. Oliver was polite but distant, gentle but withdrawn, a boy who smiled rarely and trusted slowly. Then came Daniel Hayes, a single father who took the job as a part-time property maintenance worker. Daniel wasn't impressive on paper, no prestigious degrees, no polished corporate charm, but Oliver took to him quicker than he had taken to any adult in years. Alina noticed the strange shift. Mornings when her son woke up earlier, afternoons when he laughed softly by himself, evenings when he hummed tunes Daniel must have taught him. She noticed the change but didn't understand it. Not fully. Not until she installed the camera. The first night, she watched the screen with a businesslike detachment. But that veneer shattered the moment she saw her son reach for Daniel's hand as the man entered the kitchen. Daniel looked surprised at the gesture, wiping his calloused fingers on his work shirt before gently holding Oliver's small hand in his own. He didn't treat him like a billionaire's child, or a burden, or an obligation. He treated him like a human being, like a child who mattered. As Alina watched, Daniel helped Oliver with homework, not by giving answers but by guiding him patiently. He knelt beside him, spoke softly, celebrated small victories with warm laughter. When Oliver grew frustrated with a math problem, Daniel didn't scold or rush him. He showed him how to breathe, how to try again. When Oliver accidentally spilled juice, Daniel didn't panic or blame him. He merely cleaned it with a smile, telling him accidents were part of learning. And then came the part that punched Alina's heart with a quiet, painful truth. Oliver whispered something to Daniel, his voice too soft for the microphone to catch. Daniel leaned close, listened carefully, and placed a reassuring hand on the boy's shoulder. Oliver wrapped his arms around Daniel in a sudden, fragile hug. Daniel hesitated only a second before returning it gently, respectfully, protectively. That night, Alina cried harder than she had in years. Because the embrace she had just witnessed belonged to her, yet she had no memory of earning one like it in months. The following days, Alina found herself glued to the screen at night, watching moments she had missed, moments she should have been part of. She saw Daniel fix Oliver's broken model airplane, teaching him how to repair things instead of replacing them. She watched him cook simple meals the boy actually ate, telling him stories about his own daughter Lily, now grown and away at college. She saw a man who had struggled his entire life, yet never allowed the world to harden him. But there was something else she noticed too, something that surprised her. Daniel never crossed boundaries. He never lingered too long, never acted like a father trying to replace one, never treated Alina's home like anything other than the workplace it was. He was gentle but distant, kind but respectful, present but controlled. This wasn't a man looking for an opportunity. This was a man simply doing what he believed was right. One evening, the camera captured Oliver drawing at the dining table. When Daniel walked in, the boy held up a sketch, a picture of himself, Alina and Daniel standing together, holding hands. Daniel froze, visibly struggling with what to say. He knelt and told Oliver softly that families come in different shapes, that love doesn't need labels, and that sometimes grown-ups have to heal before they can understand what they need. It wasn't a promise. It wasn't a hint. It was simply honest kindness. That honesty broke Alina more than deception ever could, because she realized she wasn't just watching a man care for her son. She was watching a man teach her how to love again. The following morning, Alina finally approached Daniel, not with authority, not with distance, but with humility. She apologized not just for her absence, but for burdening him unknowingly with the emotional weight she herself was too afraid to carry. Daniel listened without interruption, standing tall but gentle, receptive but modest. He told her Oliver was a wonderful boy who simply needed warmth, attention, and presence, not perfection. And then he added something that stayed with her long after. "You don't need anyone to replace you," he said softly. "You just need to be here." Those words shifted something inside her. Slowly, painfully, beautifully, Alina began making changes, real ones. She cut back work hours, created a routine with Oliver, learned to celebrate simple moments, learned to listen. And she saw her son bloom, slowly at first, then brighter with each passing week. She wasn't perfect, but she was present. And in that presence, she found healing. As for Daniel, he never asked for more than the job he had. But fate often moves gently, turning small acts of kindness into new paths. He became part of their lives, not as a replacement, but as a steady force of goodness. And Alina found herself drawn to the man who taught her more about love through silent nights and camera screens than any relationship had taught her in years. Their story didn't rush forward in dramatic declarations. It grew naturally, quietly, respectfully. And sometimes the quietest stories are the ones that change us the most. If this story touched your heart even a little, please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Soul Tale. Your support helps stories of kindness reach more souls. Special request: comment below what part of the story moved you the most.